Faraday's Mirror, Chapter 18, A Brief and Wondrous History of Fairy. Hours later, Byron Cole and Cromane found themselves attached to the baggage train of Rochester's column. With 2 sections ahead of them and 1 behind, they marched along in the twilight gloom, mostly in silence. After a break for water and some dried meat, they resumed the march, but Cole, always the extrovert, couldn't handle the silence. After crossing the Wormhod for a second time, he turned to Byron and said, "My feet are blistering in these wet shoes, my thighs are chafing, and clearly I didn't get enough sleep. And these skeletons creep me out. I swear they keep looking at me with those empty eyes. I'm not clowning. It's like they're staring through my soul. Talk to me. Keep my mind off it." "Okay," Byron said, glancing over his shoulder at the skeletal contingent. "Let's play a game. How about categories?" Categories is a classic camp game he often played with the scouts while hiking. The premise was simple. Each player named something from a specified category until one accidentally repeated something that had already been named, or until a player could not think of an item from said category. "Fine," Cole replied. They played this game before on car trips. "Breakfast cereals, go." "Frosted Flakes," Byron said. "Sugar Smacks. Cocoa Pebbles, Cocoa Krispies, Rice Krispies, Corn Flakes, Honey Bunches of Oats, Cookie Crisp." And it went on for a while like that until they got to the less well-known and kid-friendly cereals. 15 minutes later, they were winding down. "Special K," Byron said. "Grape Nuts." "Oh, all right. Bran Flakes." "You already said that." "Nuh-uh, I said Raisin Bran." "They're the same thing," Cole complained. "They aren't. Different name, different box, different cereal." "Fine, then Apple Dapples." "What?" Byron complained. "Apple Dapples are just Hannaford brand Apple Jacks." "Different name, different box," Cole repeated. "Different cereal." "What?" Byron complained. "Oh, sorry, I said that. Oh, you're impossible," Byron groaned, setting his jaw and preparing himself for the off-brand version of the game just played, racking his mind not only for Hannaford off-brands, but for Shaw's and Price Chopper as well, when Cromane interrupted him. "What are these things you keep saying?" Cromane grumbled, apparently driven to the point of exasperation by their continued bickering. "They're, Cole sounded apologetic. "Breakfast cereals?" "Morning meals in our land," Byron agreed. "Enough of this. I tire of it," Cromane said at last. "Then why don't you tell us about the clans?" Cole suggested. "About the Lothka." "What is it wish you to know?" he asked. "I like mythology," Byron replied cheerfully. "Why not start from the beginning?" "Is a lengthy tale," Cromane warned. "I gather that Fort Douglas is pretty far away," Cole replied. He kicked a pine cone and it trundled away to knock into a red trunk. "And it will give you a chance to work on your English," Byron added. Cromane grimaced. "Yes." He sighed and seemed to arrange his thoughts, preparing to tell a well-known story in a poorly understood language. "In the beginning," he said, pausing to arrange his subjects and verbs, "Forge goddess Rulank hammered the outer world flat from a molten ball she wrestled, red hot, from the fiery forge. From that was hammered all plants and all animals. In the sky shine the sparks of hammer strokes. Long was her labor, and to aid her made she a polished shield, Fugin, and hung it opposite her forge to better reflect light when embers grew cool. This let her craft in the darkness." "The sun, the stars, and moon," Byron observed. "But there's no day and no moon here," Cole protested. "It's been a week without a noon or a moon." "So, did the people here originally come from Earth?" Byron asked. "Oh," Cole's eyes lit up. "Good question." Cromane coughed, glowering them into silence, then resumed haltingly. "Rulank's first great forge work, after land, sea, plants, and creatures, was Drakuth, first of dragons, made to watch over the world while Rulank journeyed to the center of void, on the edge of abyss, to bargain for the souls of woman and man from the Great Father. Ferocious, Drakuth was made to protect the land, like a great guard dog, but she was also first of Rulank's creations to have a flaw. Over hasty to make woman and man, Rulank hammered into Drakuth fear and envy, ever the defects of dragons. Drakuth worried that man and woman would outgrow her in power. To prevent this, vomited she a deadly venom on Rulank's anvil and hammer, so upon Forge Mistress's return, when fashioned she new creations with her tools, would they not live? hoped Dracuth to be the last of Rulank's living creations. Your nouns are slipping, Cole chided when Cromane paused. People come first and actions come second in English. Cromane nodded solemnly and his narration resumed, slower again, but more coherent. So it happened that Rulank returned from the edge of abyss with 2 souls in her sack, and then forged woman and man on her anvil. But soon as their eyes saw the light from the forge, they rolled up into their skulls, and tongues hung limp from dead mouths. Slain they were by venom. Skillfully Rulank snatched their fleeing souls in her sack as they plunged toward abyss. Angry at Dracuth, but unwilling to destroy such a masterwork of forge skill, Rulank decided to bury her alive at the base of the tallest mountain, where she might never trouble anyone again. Having done this, thought she then longed to find a way to craft woman and man on her poisoned anvil without again watching them die. Having an idea, made she first woman as an ungrown babe, and while slept the steppe tiger, slipped she the babe into the great cat's womb, where was it safe from the venom. Following this, crafted she man the same way, and while slumbered a brown bear in a mountain cave, slipped she man into her womb. Thus were woman and man born into the world separate, and nurtured by different mothers. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus, Cole smirked, quoting the title of a self-help book his mom kept in the bathroom. Your English is slipping again, though. Focus on those verbs, the action words. The thing is first, the action second. It's doing you good to talk. What happened next? Byron asked, waving an arm to silence his brother. Cromane shrugged. Woman and man then had children, and more children. Generations. Forge light shone on the world, and Rulank smiled because all seemed well with her creation. But, Byron said, there's always a but. Cromane chuckled. But, he said, at the root of the tallest mountain, the dragon Dracuth found a molten pool where some metal from Rulank's forge still glowed hot. Hammer blows under the earth shook the lands. There made Dracuth all manner of snakes and lizards that live and kill by poison. Her hammer blows birthed spiders and centipedes and scorpions as well, all attempts to create a companion. Finally, forged she a hulking steel serpent with iron claws and a beating heart of molten fire. Though it could not be her mate, she loved it like a mother, for she knew it could dig to the surface. For a time, hope was enough. Digging endlessly, the serpent tunneled while Dracuth schemed to steal Rulank's hammer. When the serpent broke surface and opened the tunnel, all Dracuth's foul brood boiled forth. Woman and man were long dead from age, the slow-working effect of Dracuth's venom, still in our blood. Age and time, ever the death of men, but their children, caught unaware, died in great numbers. Seeing this, Rulank grasped her sword Helchan and shield Fugin, and journeyed down to slay the serpent with iron claws, for it was causing havoc among men. As Rulank left, Dracuth snuck out from under the mountain and flew to Rulank's workshop, where used she the forge mistress's hammer to forge herself a companion and mate. When slain was a steel serpent, Rulank heard Dracuth's hammering. Bounding back